These are this afternoon's top stories. 25 of the Federation's most remarkable teens honored. Brazil's President Michel Temer accused of taking bribe by Dilma Rousseff. And the United Nations warns of food shortages in Syria. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Friday, the 11th of November, 2016. I am Shaira Flanders. Nationally, 25 of the Federation's most remarkable teens were honored for their positive contributions to society during a special sitting of National Assembly Thursday evening. Government officials, family, friends and supporters gathered at the National Assembly chambers for this year's ceremony. Following the reading of each teen's profile, parliamentarians from both the government and the opposition presented awards to each of the youth, commending them on their accomplishments. 15 of the 25 teens are from St. Kitts, while 10 are from Nevis. The annual recognition program started in 2011 and covers non-traditional categories such as spiritual commitment, courage to overcome, scholar-athlete, leadership, youth activism, and volunteerism. The 25 Most Remarkable Teens Awards was broadcast live on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM and television Channel 5. Orientation training for new preschool teachers recently wrapped up with a closing ceremony at the Red Cross Conference Hall. During her presentation, Acting Director of the Early Childhood Unit, June Wallace, gave the trainees encouraging words and extended best wishes to the new preschool teachers upon completing the training.
Recognize that teaching and teachers are central to student engagement. Keeping up with the educational research through involvement in professional development is key for teachers to remain current in the field using effective research-based strategies and techniques. I extend best wishes to all of you in your new endeavor. Go and effect change in your learning environment.
Education Officer Mrs. Emelita Warner-Paul also had brief remarks for the trainees. During the ceremony, positive reinforcement was given by Reverend Damian Hughes, who was the keynote speaker. Quite a number of trainees presented performances through song and poetry. BNTF personnel Mrs. Otto distributed the certificates to symbolize completion of the orientation training. The Washington Archibald High School has made a significant donation of $11,000 to one of its students to assist with medical expenses. Kiana Pemberton, a student of Form 3A4, was diagnosed earlier this year with kidney failure and has been in and out of the hospital several times this year as she requires urgent medical care, including a kidney transplant. In efforts to defray the cost of her treatment, the Washi family hosted a takeaway dinner last month to raise funds to assist Kiana's family. Karen Pemberton, Kiana's mother, was presented with the $11,000 check during the school's General Assembly on Monday. The Washington Archibald High School is calling for past and present parents, students, and the general public to donate to Kiana's cause. Donations can be taken to the school in a sealed envelope addressed to her mother, Karen Pemberton. Funds can also be deposited to account number 37126 at the St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla National Bank.
Our program series entitled Untold Story is aimed at augmenting the quality of local television programming.
That person never hurt anybody.
For well-researched, investigative local stories which captivate and educate our society.
I command you out.
Irrespective of gender, age, race, or creed.
He took the flat side of the cutlass and he pounded it a couple of times on my head.
We employ world-class techniques in storytelling and go one step further by championing the cause of the less fortunate, dispossessed, and marginalized. Our documentaries are designed to jolt society's social conscience into action to help change one life at a time.
He won, or she won,
while delivering to advertisers the most well-watched television series, not just in St. Lucia, but in the English-speaking Caribbean.
Who did you cut first?
Produced on a shoestring budget, but receiving accolades from around the world, Untold Stories is placing St. Lucia's film industry on the world stage, one documentary at a time.
The fool has never been told.
Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on ZIZ Television.
And onto the regional scene, turn to the music, not to crime. That was the message from the Ministry of National Security in Trinidad as it launched the Right Tunes Crime Prevention Program at the East Port of Spain Regional Complex on Thursday. CNews' Peter Christopher has that story.
Turn to music, not to crime. The message from the Ministry of National Security as it launched today the Right Tunes Crime Prevention Program at the East Port of Spain Regional Complex in Laventille. The program was done in partnership with the Roy Cape Foundation, and the legendary sax player and band leader was on hand to show his appreciation for the chance to give back in a new and a positive way. Peter Christopher reports.
The Right Tunes Crime Prevention Program seeks to use music as the positive influencer in criminal hotspot areas, urging young people to pick up a musical instrument as opposed to turning to illegal means. So it seemed fitting that one of the country's most celebrated musicians, Roy Cape, would be a part of this new drive. Roy Cape, or Pappy as he has come to be known as band leader of the Kaiso All-Stars, said the program resonates with him due to the impact music had on him in his early years as an angry orphan.
I think that this is a fitting venue in which to launch a program of this nature and to be speaking about the importance of music education. Is not only an artistic activity, but also a training ground for developing other skills, teamwork, cooperation, patience.
The dreadlocked saxophonist said his music afforded him many opportunities, and while he admitted it may not have brought him extreme wealth, the music has brought a level of respectability to his life.
I am not rich in money, but I'm rich when I walk the streets and the feeling that I get from the people. It makes me feel very rich. And this evening happens to be one of those components of it making me feel really rich with the people that we have here today.
Minister of National Security Edmund Dillon believed the band leader was the perfect role model for the program.
As the Minister of National Security, I am in fact thankful for him on behalf of the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago for the initiative that he has taken in establishing the Roy Cape Foundation and to be able to present to the young people musical instruments in what he considered to be a program called the Right Tunes. The Right Tunes Initiative as a means of crime prevention.
The program was launched in a space synonymous with music in Laventille, as the East Port of Spain Regional Complex is adjacent to the Desperados Panyard. However, for several years, the Desperados Pan side has moved its base to Port of Spain due to crime concerns in the Laventille area. It is hoped that programs like the Right Tunes Initiative will encourage Desperados to stay. Peter Christopher, CNews.
Freedom.
Brazilian President Michel Temer has been accused of taking a large bribe by a former political ally. Lawyers for former President Dilma Rousseff, who was removed from office in May, filed a court document which they say proves the claim. The controversy centers around whether a payment of R1 million or $295,000 was made to the leader. Brazil's currency fell 5.7% amid fears that the president will be embroiled in corruption investigations. Mr. Temer was Ms. Rousseff's vice president before being promoted after her dismissal. She was impeached in September after claims that she moved money between government budgets, which is illegal in Brazil. And onto the international scene, there are dire warnings of a pending humanitarian crisis inside Syria. The United Nations has issued an urgent warning that people living in besieged eastern Aleppo will run out of food by the end of the week. The UN says 250,000 people face starvation unless the Syrian government lets aid in. Al Jazeera's Osama bin Javid reports from the Turkish border.
Bread is running out in the besieged city of Aleppo. Activists say they desperately need international action to avoid starvation. The UN is hopeful of avoiding a humanitarian disaster.
I do believe we will be able to avert mass hunger this winter. I think we will be able to get both supplies in and evacuations out, and none of the two should be conditioned on the other.
Syrians such as Yahya Skaif have heard it all before as they face a sixth winter of war. He used to sell meat. Now the only job he can find is to fix stoves.
We have a massive shortage of food and essential material. On the top of that, there is heavy shelling. We are entering winter and there is no fuel. It's so cold. We are burning our clothes to stay warm.
The children of Aleppo are worst affected. Their schools and playgrounds have been turned to rubble. At night, they stay in the dark to avoid being hit by Syrian and Russian airstrikes.
When the warplanes come to hit us, we get very, very scared.
Another cause for concern in Aleppo is the election of Donald Trump. Citizens are apprehensive following the president-elect's previous comments when he wrote off Aleppo as already fallen to government forces.
We've seen his speeches on the media. He's threatened Syrians and accused us of being terrorists. We're just civilians.
Trump will not be different from Obama. At least he is not hiding that he is against Islam and the Syrian people.
I don't think he will change anything. It will become worse for us. He's with Assad. So if 5 planes are bombing us now, he'll have 10 hit us in the future.
The Russian government, which many believe has close relations with Trump, says it will continue to provide what it calls humanitarian pauses, but no aid was allowed in.
People in Aleppo feel abandoned by the world, and the US election seems to have compounded that sentiment. The UN is hopeful that it will get aid in as food is running out, but Syrians will only believe it when they see it. Osama bin Javed, Al Jazeera, Gaziantep.
A Swiss experiment using wireless technology to bypass the spine may offer new hope to people suffering from paralysis. The procedure has allowed monkeys with damaged spinal cords to walk again. Here's more.
Just a few days earlier, this monkey was partially paralyzed, but wireless technology transformed its ability to move. The result of a project by a group of international scientists who were able to bypass the injured part of the animal's spine.
To decode the brain activity is not really new. To stimulate the spinal cord is not really new either, but the association of both and to make the link between the decoding of the brain and the stimulation of the spinal cord and to make this communication exist is completely new.
If you have an injury of the spinal cord, messages from the brain aren't able to reach beyond it down the nervous system, resulting in paralysis. Scientists created a brain-spinal interface on a monkey with a paralyzed leg, implanting electrodes onto part of the brain that controlled the limb. The activity and information it recorded showed the movement the monkey intended to make and was sent to a computer, which was able to send messages to the wireless implant in the monkey's spine below the injury, stimulating the nerves, allowing it to move. Globally, 2.5 million people are paralysed due to traumatic spinal cord injuries. In the UK and Ireland alone, the charity Spinal Research says 3 people are told every day they'll never walk again due to this type of injury. Adapting this technology used by scientists in Switzerland to humans could be a long process.
This is the first time that a neurotechnology restores locomotion in primates, but there are many challenges ahead, and it may take several years before this intervention can become a therapy for humans.
This could be a positive step forward, but questions remain about how it would work in the human body and be adapted to every individual patient's needs. It could take years before that happens. Emma Hayward, Al Jazeera.
And now for the weather. Current conditions are cloudy with a gentle breeze from the east at 12 miles per hour. Seas are slight to moderate with the waves between 4 and 6 feet. An advisory remains in effect for small craft operators and sea bathers. Today will be partly cloudy with a chance of brief passing showers. Tonight is expected to be cloudy at first with a high chance of showers and thunderstorms, then becoming partly cloudy later in the evening. Sunset today will be at 5:36 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:14 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.